All right, guys, welcome back. Survival Living here. So I want to go ahead and discuss some of the medical equipment that I actually took on our volunteer run. Over the holidays, we were trying to help out at the emergency shelter, and of course I got some certificates and things like that in the medical field, and I want to make sure that I had gear with me. So we're actually going to be covering that. A lot of people only prep for at the full-blown SHTF, Armageddon. The fact is, though, we normally have natural disasters, and this is another thing that we always try to show here on this channel, is preparing for natural disasters, because when it happens to you, that is SHTF. It is still cold in Florida, and trust me, I read the comments, it's colder here, it's colder there. Yeah, I understand. This is the beach. We're not used to 17-degree weather. That's it, because we usually deal with extreme heat. Anyway, I want to go ahead and discuss a couple things with you guys. I got some gear here I'm going to go over, but first, just recently, over the Christmas holiday, we had the opportunity to help volunteer at an emergency shelter. Now, this emergency shelter isn't a normal setup, all right? This was an emergency. Temperatures were plummeting at night. There is a homeless population here in Panama City, Florida, and there's people that can't afford heating oil, things like that for their homes, and they needed a warm place to go. So we were able to go and assist and give a hand in that. As you guys know, we try to prepare as much as we can for hurricanes and things of that here in our local area, especially after Hurricane Michael. And we just recently got back from our Fort Myers trip where we're running a soup kitchen. You guys made that possible. All the donations, all the food donations, financial donations, all that. You guys made that possible so we can actually go do that. Now with this, I was actually taking a whole bunch of styrofoam trays, forks, utensils, cups, napkins, things like that to our local rescue mission here. Now, we do have a rescue mission here, and we try to do a lot of volunteer work as far as donating things like that to that mission, because they've actually helped us out in providing blankets and things like that when we went down to South Florida to do hurricane relief aid. So we're still trying to give back to each other, because they're always working on something, so we're always trying to donate and everything else and try to help them out. If you guys want to help them out, link is in the description for their website. I do not take any finances or anything like that. I'm not a third party. I put the link up there for you guys so you can actually go directly to their website. Now, with the emergency shelter that we were working at, this was an emergency shelter. I mean, they actually set it up in an old school that was actually shut down, I believe, after Hurricane Michael. But they were able to get power, it had power and everything there, so they could actually provide a warm location, also hot meals. We also had MREs on hand, but every night I was working, there was still the availability to actually give people hot meals, not just an MRE. All right, so Pastor Nelson was, I believe, spearheading all of this. Him and his assistant pastor, they were working on this, and I think there's a couple other organizations that were also working, but I got to work with these guys. Definitely appreciate you giving me the availability to actually serve and help out, and also the amount of trust that you gave me for the position that you put me in. I really do appreciate that. Now, guys, when I went there, a lot of people, they just wanted a warm spot. They wanted a place to lay their head. All right, that's one of the biggest things, trying to get some rest. But I also have Stop the Bleed certs. All right, when I went down to South Florida, I stopped in at Airborne Prepper. He was going to go with me. He helped me run that soup kitchen. He donated a lot of food, finances, and things like that, so we can actually make that happen, along with many of you guys. While I was there, he is an instructor in Stop the Bleed, and I was able to take his class and actually get my certificate. That way I could actually start giving aid that way. So that is what this bag is, medical. Now, I'm not here to offer any medical advice. This platform will nail you every time. All right, so what I'm going to do is show you what I carry in my kit for this type of emergency. All right, so I am not a doctor, I am not a paramedic. The only thing I have certifications in is CPR and now Stop the Bleed. I do have training in other things, but I'm not certified, so I do not do anything that's going to get me legally bound up. Let's put it that way. But I carry a lot of gear. Now during complete SHTF, different story. On my belt, of course, I carry a lot of gloves. Also got a bunch in my pocket, things like that. I always carry headlamps, flashlights, a penknife. You never know when you're going to need it. But the gear itself. So this is, I've shown this type of pack before. This is actually a very similar pack, identical actually, to the one I took up the Pathfinder course. It's like a $50 pack. Works great for this. You know, water pouch and stuff like that. So let's go ahead and get into the pack. I basically carry 3 IFAKs. Now, my IFAKs are a little different, and I know there's going to be a lot of comments about I only purchase this type of IFAK, I only purchase this type of IFAK. And that's fine, you go purchase whatever you want to. Me personally, I use our gear a lot, and because I use it means I'm training with it, so I pick what I prefer to use, not just because somebody sells it. Also, more flashlights. Yes, you got to have light. Lighting is key. That's why I also love my headlamps. Notebook. I also have a notepad in here. Let me get to the actual bare bones of things. It's easier if I just set this down. All right. So we have one mid-size IFAK. We have a smaller one. This is actually one that was given to me by Airborne Prepper. It's set up specifically for Stop the Bleed. And then we also have our larger one. This is usually what I carry in the vehicle. We have one identical to that, and I carry one of these in my gear. This is the MyMedic. We are affiliated with MyMedic. You don't have to purchase anything, guys. All right, this is just gear that we're affiliated with and we use. We show you what we use. Now, some of the products and stuff that we do reviews on, we're just doing review on. I'll let you know if we're affiliated. If we're affiliated with them, it's because we use them. And also more gauze and rubbing alcohol peroxide, stuff like that in that pack. All right, so let's go ahead and get into this. This here is the one that Airborne Prepper gave me when I was actually taking his course, which was freaking awesome. This thing is set up very nice. I'll go and open this up. Like I said, this thing is definitely specifically for Stop the Bleed. But he also has a lot of extra stuff in this kit. Everything from additional antiseptics and things like that to clean up with. This is my cert for Stop the Bleed and also my CPR. I don't show that because it's got his actual name and also my actual name. So we don't show that because I've had people try to dox me and my family. Yeah, they're watching right now. I know who you are. But don't worry, buddy. I know exactly where you live too. But unlike you, I don't put other families in danger. So, over-the-counter medication, aspirin, nausea medication, Pepto, stuff like that. These things are great to have. Now, gauze, packing gauze. I mean, he's got all this stuff in here. Israeli bandages. I'm not going through every bit of this. Tourniquets. This is something I want to discuss with tourniquets, guys. I've seen a lot of people online with their tourniquets, and they'll demonstrate a tourniquet, and then they'll take it off, and then they'll try to use it again, and it break, like the 3rd, 4th time. And then they go, well, I don't like that tourniquet because you can only use it once. You're only going to use the tourniquet once anyway. Once it's locked in place, it stays locked in place until the surgery team usually cuts it off. So I want to stress that. Get yourself a good quality tourniquet. There's a lot of places you can get them from. I get most of mine from a buddy over there, Prescott Caliber Club. This one here, Airborne Prepper included this. He actually gave me a really cool one too that actually has a metal snap, real quick connection and stuff. But that's where I usually get my supplies. So I've been watching these individuals on YouTube. They'll sit there and crank down on one, and then they'll crank down until the 3rd, 4th time, pull it up, put it back on, and then they bust the inner strap and go, oh, these things are crap because you can only use them like 1 or 2 times. You're only using a tourniquet 1 time. It stays on. It locks in. Surgical team is the one that's going to be cutting this thing off. So don't listen to a lot of the BS on YouTube. All right. My buddy, Airborne Prepper, he's been here on the channel for a very long time. He also took my outdoor survival course, my basic training course. He has medical background, everything from paramedic to also being a military field medic, combat medic. I trust his advice over some of the YouTube BS that I see. So anyway, guys, I said we carry all kind of different gears. This mid-size is almost identical to this. It's got same with the clothing, scissors, and things like that you can cut off. This here is the MyMedic. This is a much larger one. This one here that Airborne gave me, he also gave me some chest seals too with that, and that's what this one here's got. Chest seals. And me and him actually had a long conversation about some of the stuff we see online, you know, the online medical. I got this gear and I got that gear. The decompression needle, I see it all the time. People's always talking. Me and Airborne had a long talk on this one. You know, to me it seemed like a good idea to have. He actually comes from the medical field. He's like, you know how difficult it is to use that correctly. It takes training. And just because you have it doesn't mean you should be using it. Because if you don't know how to actually use it, you're going to cause more harm than good. So I want you to think about that. Just because you've got something doesn't mean you need to be using on something. You need to be trained in using it. And using a decompression needle, you need to be trained on. So make sure you know that. But chest seals, things like this. This kit here, this is a larger kit. That's from MyMedic. We are affiliated with them. They've got all kind of stuff. I've added a couple things like storm matches just because I'm a prepper. I don't know why I would need storm matches. Maybe start a fire. Who knows? But this thing's got everything in here from tourniquets and stuff. I'm trying to see if I can find the tourniquet, the metal class one that he gave me. Freaking awesome. We use all kind of different tourniquets, but the one he gave me had the metal quick connect, which was awesome. Makes everything so much faster and easier to use. And I've got so many different tourniquets and stuff. I believe this is it right here. Yeah, there it is. This one here uses a metal clasp. This way you can actually separate it compared to most tourniquets. You have to weave it through to open it up. You just wrap it around, quickly lock it in place real fast. He gave this one to me. This thing is freaking awesome. There's actually a technical name for it. I don't have the technical name on the top of my head. I just know what it is and what I can use it for. So having gear, guys, is very important, but you need to be training in your gear. Just like the stop the bleed, okay? You need to learn how to stop bleed. With a gunshot, you need to know how to use the tourniquet correctly, where to apply it, where to put it. You need to know how to dress out wounds. You need to know how to stop an artery. You need to know when you need to use a tourniquet or not. I can tell you this much, and this might go into medical advice. This is not medical advice, in my opinion. If you have any questions on whether you can use a tourniquet or not, you better put a tourniquet on it, okay? Because it's better to have a tourniquet on it than not. Sure, I've seen the movies where they let some blood flow out. You crank down on that tourniquet and you leave it there. Most people don't understand a tourniquet can stay in place for hours. We're talking 12 and plus. If it saves the person's life, losing a limb is worth it. But that's my opinion, not medical advice. Anyway, guys, so this is some of the gear that we have. This is what we carry in those types of packs. Again, you don't have to have this type of stuff to do volunteer work. Handing out a hot cup of coffee is volunteer work. Being there to give somebody a warm blanket is volunteer work. We're trying here on this channel, also with our business, to push ourselves. Not just be YouTubers, not just be a business owner, but being part of the community and actually helping our surrounding community as much as possible. Natural disasters is one of the biggest SHTF moments out there. People don't seem to understand that. They want to prepare for the end-all be-all Armageddon. We don't know when that's going to happen. But what we do know is about every year we have a natural disaster all over the country. Just depends where it's going to happen next. Being prepared for these things is key. All right, guys. Definitely appreciate you hanging out with me. And I'll speak to y'all later.